Good afternoon, everyone. This is Simon Tupman here. Welcome you all to the August edition of Law Chat. We took a break last month, but we're back again this month. And this episode, as with previous ones, is brought to you in association with Moore Markhams, business advisors and accountants providing specialist and unique services to the legal profession. I'm delighted to welcome my guest today is Ann-Maree David, who is well known to practitioners throughout Australasia in particular. She's a legal education specialist and has devoted her entire career to supporting lawyers through training and mentoring. Her work was recognised as recently as 2018 by the Queensland Law Society by awarding her the prestigious Agnes McWhinney Award. I'm delighted Ann-Maree is joining us today. Ann-Maree, welcome.
Thank you, Simon. Lovely to be with you.
You're in Brisbane, I understand.
I am in lovely sunny Brisbane today, spring weather.
Lovely. Well, I'm in sunny Okuni, although you can't tell here in New Zealand, but we're in lockdown land at the moment. So how better than to spend the time than talking to you for the next half an hour. So thank you for joining us. And I know we're going to talk today about Practice Fit, the next generation of lawyers, and effectively what skills they're going to need to pass muster, as it were. Now, you've been obviously involved in legal education for many years, as I indicated. The world is changing, and I guess my first question is, what are the implications for legal education and for students of law as well as practitioners?
It certainly is changing, Simon. It's a new world of complexity. We were talking about the COVID lockdowns in New Zealand and in Australia too at the moment. That's added even further complexity to our practice of law. And of course now it means we have to do law differently, to borrow a phrase of my colleague Lucy Dickens from Western Australia. I know when you and I were both practicing, we were the gatekeepers of information. And that was very sound. It was fabulous to operate that way, where we held the information and dealt it out to our clients as we saw fit. But of course now with the internet and artificial intelligence and intelligent algorithms, that information has been opened up. We have access to legal information like never before. And so our clients come to us well informed. They may need help in interpreting the law, but they certainly can access it. Who hasn't Googled or consulted Google QC or Dr. Google before seeking professional help? So yes, it's a very different environment we're working in. And of course, we're not alone. Clients are very much more empowered, not just by technology, but knowing their way around the traps these days in the commercial world as much as in the personal services world. So they come complete with teams of advisors or requiring the assistance of teams. Lawyers no longer have all the answers. And in truth, we know we never really did. So it's a different world that we're preparing our law graduates for, and they do need new skills. So if I may, I'll just talk a little bit about that legal ecosystem that we're all working within. Well, we're working well beyond the legal profession as we know and love it. And of course, we're working with other professionals, both human and non-human, I've got to say. So now when I look out to the legal ecosystem and I'm talking to our students about how they'll be practicing law, we talk about working with other teams of lawyers. Isn't that a blow to our ego when we're not the only lawyer on the block? But working with other teams of specialist lawyers who bring something special to the equation. Obviously, in the corporate world, we work with accountants, statisticians, analysts, and of course, in personal services and our individual consumers, they may need counsellors, therapists, even medicos. So we're never alone in this advisory scenario anymore, and our clients expect us to be able to contribute, to make meaningful contributions to those solution building scenarios where we're working in that ecosystem. So we've got to learn new skills and hone those skills very quickly if we're going to retain the loyalty of our clients.
So let me ask you that those new skills that you refer to obviously extend beyond the basic competency of understanding the law and perhaps how to administer advice. You want to expand on what those new skills are, because it's been my experience that there are still quite a few experienced lawyers who are actually struggling to actually basically deliver law because they don't have those skills.
It's difficult when you know something so well, as our senior lawyers do, Simon, to change track and to think you need retraining or reskilling. It's quite insulting, I'm sure, for most of us who've been in the profession a very long time. But as I say to my new recruits, there are just an overlay of new competencies and new attributes that if you bring with you, so you bring your new, very, very current legal knowledge with you straight out of law school, if you then add these additional skills and attributes, you truly are a very, very valuable asset. And that is obviously your pathway into a legal position now. So I've coined what I call the 6 core competencies, or the 6 C's, which I think every new recruit, and as you say, a lot of our existing lawyers might consider adding to their toolkit. The first is collaboration. I've been talking about the legal ecosystem where we're working as teams now. We're not just individual lawyers, we're working as a team, a cross-disciplinary team, to add value to our client. So the COVID experience, for example, has taught us now we're all working remotely, we're working in hybrid teams, we're working across different time zones. That is a very, very good entry point into the world of the ecosystem where we're working to different timetables and to different agenda, just making our individual contributions in a collaborative effort to build that solution for our clients. That's a new mindset. That's thinking beyond ourselves and thinking outside the box to work collaboratively with other professionals. And as I say, the ecosystem is more than just human. We have artificial intelligence now. We have virtual law firms we'll never meet, and chatbots who are offering advice initially to clients. So we've got to sort of build our value around all of those other aspects of the ecosystem. It's a really interesting time to practice law. The second of my 6 C's is communication. Now, any lawyer will tell you that's not new. We've been communicators. In fact, we're the best communicators of all the professionals. I'd like to say, well, yes, that is true. We are always taught from a very early stage of our training to be communicators and to excel as such. So in written advice, in our oratory skills, we are continually honing those. But what many lawyers have failed to understand is that before we can respond, we have to listen. And that is the key skill of the 21st century, active listening. And lawyers must understand that they have to listen before they can respond. And even for our colleagues at the bar who spend their life speaking on behalf of their clients, so many can be easily derailed because they haven't first listened to the client and fully understood what their needs are. So as I say to our students here at the College of Law, please listen before you even think that you can respond to your client in any fashion, in writing, in oral advice. It's a really key skill. The third of my key skills for 21st century is client orientation. So that's shorthand for emotional intelligence and empathy. Obviously, our clients need our empathy, and that's not just restricted to personal services clients. Our corporate clients, our commercial clients need us to understand where they're coming from. We need to be able to walk a mile in their shoes and understand what the problem is, what the transaction is from their perspective. And that's not something that we've been encouraged to adopt. You might remember, Simon, when you and I were trained as lawyers, we were told to safeguard ourselves by checking our empathy at the door. Keep that professional distance from your client. That is no longer the case. The client needs us to walk alongside them and understand where they're coming from. And that goes hand in hand with that active listening skill. So use that skill to build your emotional intelligence and the empathy that you bring to every interaction with your client. Not only your clients too, but your colleagues, both in those ecosystems we talk about, but even in our own firms. We have to actually work together as teams across the profession, within the profession, and beyond the profession if we're going to get the very best solutions for our firms and for our firms' clients. So a very, very important skill.
Let me just ask a question, if I may, Ann-Maree, about
Please.
this issue of empathy and client focus. It strikes me that there are still quite a few lawyers out there who see a trade-off between their own independence, which they hold as being vital in giving advice, against the idea of being in the palm of the client's hand, if you understand. Where do you strike the balance here between saying I'm an empathetic lawyer, I'm a good listener, and I do have client focus, but I do need to retain my independence, because if I get too close to the clients, particularly say, for example, if I was a criminal practitioner, as I used to be, then it gets a little bit awkward.
It does indeed. And I'm not suggesting it's a trade-off in any fashion. I think we have to understand that we are professionals, we are officers of the court before anything else. And as long as we abide by the rules in that respect, we can open our minds, and I want to say our hearts, but I know that's not going to go over well with many lawyers, but open our minds to what more the client is needing. We will offer better advice. We will be better lawyers if we're better briefed. And we do that by asking the client exactly what their needs are. And as I say, that's active listening, but that's also putting ourselves in their shoes to understand how the transaction has arisen or what their ultimate goal is. I think a lot of us come equipped with our legal knowledge and our experience and say, oh yes, I've seen this before, you need X, Y, Z. But of course, in a complex world, things are evolving and things are not always as they've seemed to us through the eyes of precedent. We have to remain alive to what our clients require. It's the same thing, I think, Simon, when clients come to us for, say, commercial solutions, and we are very, very alive to the risk and to the pitfalls. But we have to arrive at a solution that is palatable to the client. Clients don't want to be receive a barrage of negativity, but of course, in all commerciality, we have to brief them in terms of risk, in terms of pitfalls, and tell them what they are. And if it gets to the stage, as you would have was dealing with criminal clients, we have to divorce ourselves from the client and then the transaction, so be it. But what I'm suggesting is we have to come first with an open mind to actually fully understand what we're dealing with before we can make that call.
So we have collaboration, we have communication, and client orientation.
Client orientation, yeah. The first three of my six.
Yep. And what's the fourth one?
One you will love, Simon, harking back to books you've written in the past, connection, otherwise known as networking, that very dirty word that a lot of lawyers still don't like the sound of. It's not a new skill, just one that's been too long ignored, or I dare say shunted down to the juniors, the new recruits. Go out and find work. I'm too busy being, the slave at the desk doing the legal work and applying my great experience and expertise. You go bring the clients in. Well, put simply, no client, no business. Every lawyer knows that. And I think, and Simon, I'd value your opinion on this, there's no greater waste of a resource than losing a client when you could have explored more and more work with them. No one wants to reinvent wheels, surely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, not a one-off client, but a client for life. Are you doing enough to safeguard the interests of that particular client? And certainly, this will come as no surprise to those who know me, but I've often said for many years that opportunity is staring you right underneath the face, in front of you. All you need to do is basically ask the questions and dig deep, as it were.
Absolutely. And as I say, build that rapport. I mean, we're all used to the phrase trusted advisor. That all comes down to building a rapport and very strong relationships of connection. Now, once we get that right, we may not always see eye to eye, and there may be times when we have to say to the client, we're going to have to part ways because we are not on the same mindset, or not of the same mindset, not on the same playing field here. But for those clients you do want to retain, that is all about building connection and relationships and maintaining those. They're not set and forget, Simon, are they?
No, not at all.
Mm.
So number 5.
Number 5, contextual commerciality. When I speak to employers here in Australia, and I dare say they're exactly the same in New Zealand, they're saying what is missing from the new recruits is a sense of business acumen. They need to actually understand the commerciality of every transaction. Now, that's not reserved for just commercial or corporate clients. They need to be able to get under the hood of their personal services clients and say, what is the commerciality here? What is your net worth? What is at stake here commercially? Where does this sit from a financial perspective? I know many commentators will say, look, go back and take a business degree if you didn't come already equipped with one. I'm not sure that's right for everybody. I think as long as you can build your commercial awareness and bring that sense of commerciality to every transaction, that will suffice. As I say, in an ecosystem now, you'll more than likely be met with a client who comes with a financial planner, or a corporate client who has their CFO with them, or their bank, or whatever. You don't have to be all things to all people, but you do have to be aware of the commerciality of every transaction. Doesn't matter who the client is. And certainly that's something we can hone from reading broadly, being aware of the financial environment around us, and asking questions and being eager to learn more. So I think that's a good start, certainly for new recruits. And that's number 5.
Right. That brings us to the last of your 6 skills.
And this is a biggie. This is a tough one. This is courage. This is courage to actually step outside of our comfort zones and encouraging people to do law differently. Now, I know that when new recruits go into law firms, they're very, very quiet. They don't say boo because they want to be accepted. But of course, they walk into a world of precedent, not just legal precedent, but business precedent. Things have always been done this way. Why do we change things when it's not broken? And of course, new recruits bring new eyes, new ears, new mindsets. They just need the courage to ask questions and to say, why are things done this way? Yes, they've always been done this way, but is there a better way? Could I suggest a better way to do something? Now, we have students coming through. Some are more tech savvy than others. Many come with other degrees, other careers. They can add value from day one in law firms. Why not ask them? Bring your new eyes and your new mindset to this scenario here in our firm. Can we do things differently? If we can give our new recruits, our new lawyers, courage to speak up and ask questions, ask why not, then we might be able to see change and evolution more quickly. And of course, that then adds value to the law firm, to our clients, and of course, it gives us a greater sense of contribution too. And there can be nothing better in terms of job satisfaction than being asked to contribute more broadly. I don't know, Simon, are you seeing that? Do you think that's happening in law firms?
It's starting to, but I question whether or not the impetus for change has to come just from inside law firms, which leads me to my question for you, and that is that obviously this is looking at the entire supply side, if you like, of people coming into the funnel into the legal services industry, not just lawyers, but legal professionals. What needs to change to the current system of education? So when we stand back and look at everything from students going to law school, through to the manner in which students are licensed and are deemed to be competent, to the role of the regulator. And I credit Jordan Furlong with some of this thinking, because I know it's something he's been looking at in North America. But the whole idea of saying, well, do we open up the legal services industry or the legal profession to other suppliers who are capable of delivering legal services, rather than still keeping it as a cozy cartel, if I can put it that way? Is that also part of the challenge?
I think it is, and I think we're seeing that play out now over in the UK, obviously. But even here, there are new law providers which aren't law firms. There are lawyers abandoning their license so that they can operate new law firms. So different providers of legal services, because they can see additional value in working alongside licensed lawyers, bringing their legal expertise, but in a different fashion and using different tools. It's a very exciting time to be here watching this unfold. If I may take us back to law school, though, one of my big beefs with law school has been for many years that it's so siloed. We have law schools, like we have medical schools, but they are law schools within universities. Why don't we bring down the walls of the silo and encourage our professionals to work together across disciplines? Now, I've said that recently in a legal education forum, and law deans were yelling, but, where have you been? All our law students are dual degree holders. They come with business, they come with science, they come with computer technology or IT. Yes, they do, but that's still siloed. They still learn law as lawyers, and they learn their other discipline in their other school. Why can't we bring everyone together to see the interplay? That may not be the entire degree program, but wouldn't it be valuable to encourage this cross-fertilisation from the very early days of law school and other disciplines, where people learn, there is so much more value to learn from my colleagues in other disciplines, and so much more I can contribute to their learning by saying, well, in the legal sphere, this is what this looks like. That plays out beautifully then in legal practice, where we are working within these ecosystems, working with allied professionals, within our law firms too. I mean, we've got fabulous professionals right inside our law firms who are not lawyers. I hate the term non-lawyer. To me, they are professionals just as everyone else is, and they bring a different skill set and very valuable experience to bear. So I think we are seeing this evolution broadly across the world. And I think certainly Jordan's onto something. Regulators have to understand that, yes, lawyers are very, very regulated, but there are others nipping at the edges. What would happen if we opened this up to say, well, I'm strictly a lawyer, but my colleague, also a lawyer, is working in a different fashion? What does that mean for regulation? And I think it's actually here at the doorstep. I don't think we'll have too much longer to wait to see that will unfold. What is the situation in New Zealand, Simon?
Well, I think it's still, as I last looked, I still think that the impetus for change is probably not as great as it is in Australia or even in the UK. That's not to say there aren't people here who are keen for change, and I detect there are firms there who recognise the need for these skills, and they are going about making changes to their firm by engaging people who have multidisciplinary skills, or they're putting their new lawyers through programs designed to equip them with the sort of skills that you're talking about.
Yes.
I guess on top of that is something I'd quite like to explore too, is not just the skills, but also the mindset required, and whether or not that comes innately within from the law students, or the motivation of the young lawyers, or whether it's an imperative for the leadership of lawyers to actually understand the issue that we're talking about today, and to actually say, we recognize that if we don't instill these skills in our people, then as a firm and as a business, we're going to be vulnerable in the future.
It's an interesting scenario, Simon. I know I meet a lot of first-year law students through orientation week, so I visit them or they come to us at the college. And I say, how many of you come from legal families, so they have some association with the law? There are equal or greater numbers, obviously, coming without any contact with law. And I say, well, what has made you come to law? What has influenced you? And a lot of the time, and it sounds hilarious, it's what they've seen on television. So, shows like Suits or movies that feature lawyers. And of course, we know that's not reality, but they come into law school with these preconceived ideas, outdated ideas of what law is and how law is practiced. We need to tell them from day one, and we need to get inside law schools. The profession has got to go inside law schools and tell them, this is what we look like today. This is not law school of the 20th century or the 19th century for that matter. This is law as practiced in the 21st century. And as you come through law school, if your law school doesn't offer this, find ways to yourself acquire these skills, this experience, come with this new mindset, because it is what is required outside. I know in Australia we have law firms now who are recruiting graduates not for positions in law. In fact, they don't want them to be admitted practitioners. They want them to bring their dual degree with them. So they are lawyers or law graduates with IT or computer science, and they are being brought into legal ops, into law firms. And that's a very, very fine line of specialization, but they want both areas of expertise. And that's going to be a fabulous career for those people. That's a different mindset from going in saying, I'm going to be a lawyer. My options are barrister, solicitor. There are so many more options for lawyers. And I think our law students know that now. They're coming out with different aspirations. They want, if they don't know yet what they want to be, they know that this isn't the only career they're going to have. They know that this is just a stepping stone in what may be many careers, 3, 4, 10 different careers, one morphing into another. So they come with different aspirations, and I'm not sure whether a lot of law firms have caught on to that yet. I think a lot of them, and you'd think, when we're graduating thousands of lawyers across both countries every year, you'd think law firms would cotton on that the loyalty isn't there. They're not looking to stay to forge legal careers as once we were encouraged to do. They will stay until they take what they need to move into the next career. So new aspirations. I think too, Simon, they come with a new set of expectations. This is a new generation of lawyer. Obviously, they're looking for flexibility. They want what we loosely term work-life balance. They want it all. They want to have a life beyond their legal commitments throughout the day. And of course, with COVID, we've all been introduced to hybrid work styles or flexible work styles. So they want that to continue. They are looking for diversity and inclusion. They don't. If you can't see yourself in a law firm, they're asking, well, where are the rest of them like me? We were at law school together, but I don't see them in your law firm. Why would I stay here? Pay equity. Those sorts of issues are top of mind for all law students who come through and are more likely than not to ask, what is your pay equity commitment here at the law firm? It's very interesting how courageous they are. And finally, I think in expectations, safety at work. Now that sounds like a no-brainer, doesn't it? But we're not talking about HR policies. Law firms are expected to be able to walk the talk, and that's more likely a question you'll be asked in the interview, where the shoe seems to be on the other foot now. The new recruits are asking the questions about how safe am I going to be at work. So I think when you combine that, new expectations and new aspirations, with I think what may be the greatest challenge for our profession, our investment in the well-being of our own, I think we're playing in a whole new playing field here. We're seeing our lawyers as humans, not machines. I think gone are the days when life as a lawyer was leisurely and you had time to sit and reflect. We don't have that anymore. I, for one, welcome the introduction of artificial intelligence if it gives us back that time to sit, think and reflect, particularly with our clients, because working like a robot is seeing the demise of our profession. And our clients are humans. They want to be able to interact with other humans. So we have to regain that humanity. Excuse me. And if in closing, I can say, as a profession, we've already lost too many colleagues to anxiety and to depression and to worse. And that doesn't appear in any of our annual reports or in our balance sheets. Maybe it should. So maybe it's time for the profession to account for what we're producing or what we're doing to our lawyers. So I think our new recruits will hold us to account. I think they will come in with those expectations and aspirations and say, if it's not good enough, I won't be staying. And this is not the career I want.
So that spells opportunity, as I'm hearing you, Ann-Maree. And I guess for those who are tuning in today or watching this recording subsequently, who may be in a leadership role or an ownership role in a law firm, what advice in the last 2 or 3 minutes might you give those people who feel that in some way they are deficient in terms of their multidisciplinary skills or their humane way of going about living life as a practitioner and a contributor to a legal services business?
Well, they're big questions, aren't they, to finish on? You're recruiting the new blood of our profession, and they want to be with us. It's a matter of finding out how to keep them with us. I think ask them the questions. I'm a big advocate for reverse mentoring. When I have law students around me, I take away as much as I give. I ask them questions. What is it that's concerning you? What is it that will make a difference in your career and in your life? And they are not backward in coming forward. They will tell us. And of course, like anything, it's a matter of give and take, and what we can accommodate and how we can do that. And they come well versed in their own well-being now. They know from day one that they are the perfectionists and they are at risk and they are building their resilience, but they need us to support them in that as well. So ask them the questions. And can I say, for most of our law students, they've all been investing in themselves commercially. They're in retail, they're in hospitality. They're the customer service orientation. They're the skills that we need to bring into law firms. They've got them. Let them show us what they've learned and how we can better be lawyers in terms of in our clients' minds. I think we've got a thing or two to learn from our new recruits in that regard too. But certainly if we work together, we can be a much stronger profession, and I think we will weather this complexity that we're facing at the moment.
One last question before you go. Are you optimistic about the future?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't move for anything. I think this is the most exciting time to be in law because we have an opportunity to make the change and to influence change. Let's be a voice to be reckoned with here, and let's retain the best of what we are and what we have, and make it even better going forward.
Well, Ann-Maree, you've been influencing change for many years, and long may that continue. Thank you for giving up some time to share your thoughts with us today on the future of practice and the requirements for practitioners and legal professionals in the future. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. My best wishes to everyone watching this. If you're in lockdown or wherever you are, just relax, sit back, and use the time wisely and productively. So until next month, I wish everyone the best. Ann-Maree, take care. All the best to those at the College of Law and in Brisbane, and we'll see everyone next month.
Thanks, Simon.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.